was very important to me that lawyers, particularly criminal defense lawyers, didn't simply do a job, that is to be satisfied with, oh, I represented her, represented him, I did my job, I'm coming home. The zealousness was working overtime. The zealousness was doing more than the client expected. The zealousness was being comfortable with taking on judges who were not going to give your client respect that they deserve. The zealousness was making sure the prosecutor gave you all the discovery information, all the Brady information that existed. And the zealousness was going out to the same place where the crime allegedly happened and investigating it. And so that became very important. And you can't simply be a lawyer who will say, I've dotted my I's and crossed my T's. You know, I talked to the client, I did some motions, etc. You got to do more than that. And so we want people to be zealous not just at CJI, but zealous for their entire life. And that makes an enormous amount of difference. And when it means being zealous, it means coming this close, and you can barely see, this close to being held in contempt. And I know many, many, many occasions judges are saying, Professor Ogletree, you're getting very close. Well, I'm not there yet. So let me tell you why you should treat Tyrone in a different way. And Tyrone should be entitled to justice like everybody else who comes to this courtroom, Your Honor. Respect the judge, but be very defiant about what you want for your client.
And here at CJI, we, of course, train our student attorneys not to overstep ethical boundaries, but on the other hand, not to be timid or tepid about being zealous advocates. And so what that means is that we teach them to be professionals, to be civil, to understand that they are required, once they are appointed to represent a client, that it's their duty, their obligation, their fundamental obligation to represent that client, to do everything within their power to represent that, to provide the highest quality of representation to that client. And what that means is that they investigate the cases fully, they communicate plea negotiations, they do everything that they can to make sure that no stone is left unturned in whatever phase of representation that they're in. So from start to finish, they must represent the client zealously. They must provide client-centered representation to that client. So that's what we try to impact. And it starts with the little things. I tell students that you do not even have to agree with your client. You don't have to like your client. You may not agree on the goals. And in fact, I tell them that in representing, in zealous advocacy, you have to understand that the attorney-client relationship is a very unique one. And that although you may not agree with your client on how we get to the goals, that you certainly must respect that relationship. And you must understand that the client, that at the end of the day, it's a privilege representing the client, and that you must treat it as such.
So zealousness means that you fight and fight hard. It's a never say die attitude. It is a concept that embodies the notion that you can move mountains, and that sometimes you must move mountains in the face of an injustice. And any student who's spent any time dealing with the criminal justice system becomes very quickly aware of the way in which poor people and people of color are treated in the criminal justice system. And for nearly all of them, it's absolutely appalling. The odds are so stacked against these citizens, our fellow citizens. And zealousness means that no matter what the odds are, that they're going to continue to fight and fight and fight until justice is done.
When you say it took a lot of vision, it took a lot of chutzpah. I mean, can you think that you're coming to Harvard and they're honoring you by giving you a position to be a teacher and ultimately get tenure, and I did, and get a chair named after me. It was very important. But I wanted to create something in the criminal justice area that had a permanence here at Harvard. And I was very pleased that Dean Vorenberg accepted that and wanted me to continue what I was doing. I wanted to teach criminal law, but I also want to make sure that we are going to teach trial advocacy so that people doing criminal or civil, local or national, who want to be lawyers in either defense or prosecutors role, they could be make a big difference. And that's what I was trying to do. And I've built that with the idea that the Criminal Justice Institute is an institution that I hope will go. And they still have me listed as the Chair Emeritus of the Criminal Justice Institute, and I still try to make sure that if we're going to talk to foundations or corporations or individuals about support, that they understand that I'm still as committed to the work that CJI, as we call it, is doing now, as they were doing many decades ago when we first started. And I think that's very important.